Aishat, you are speaking on mute.
Hello. So sorry about that. I did not realize. I thought I had already unmuted my mic. Sorry about that. I hope you can see my screen, please. Hello.
Yes, I can see your screen.
Thank you very much. Okay. Sorry about that. So sorry about that. I think I'll need to begin again. Okay. Hello, everyone, and a warm welcome to you all. My name is Aishat Oshileye, and it is my pleasure to host this today's Microsoft 365 deep dive session. It's a bi-weekly session hosted by the Nigeria M365 community, and we are so glad to have you join us this beautiful Saturday afternoon. So whether you're connecting from Nigeria, from within here, or from outside, we welcome everyone. If this is your first time joining us, okay, you are in for an interactive learning experience where we will explore real life, real world Microsoft 365 scenarios, share knowledge, and grow together as a community. To get us started, let us light up the chat. Right. Please drop your name as a form of introduction. Please drop your name and where you're joining us from, and one Microsoft 365 tool that you're very familiar with and that you use the most. Thank you very much. I will be watching the comment section for all of that. Please drop your name, where you're joining us from, and one Microsoft 365 tool that you are very conversant with and that you use the most. Thank you very much. So today we will be we'll be delving into a topic that is at the heart of secure collaboration in Microsoft 365. As we know, Microsoft 365, one of the core features of Microsoft 365 is collaboration. And we will be delving into one of the tools that make this possible. And this topic revolves around understanding permission levels in SharePoint Online. Permissions control who can see, edit, or even manage your content in Microsoft 365, and specifically talking about SharePoint Online. And getting it right makes all the difference, right? And in protecting organizations' data while keeping teamwork and collaboration smooth. Okay, right about now, we will be introducing our speaker, as we all can see here. But before we go forward, I'll just give a short introduction about myself as the moderator. My name is Aishat Oshileye. I am a Microsoft 365 trainer, administrator, technical support engineer. I have a passion for making technology work and also boosting the digital work space, and bringing about a seamless experience when you talk about collaboration and productivity. That is me in a bit. We'll be introducing our speaker. Here we have Mr. Yomi Aledare. Sorry? Okay, please, if you are joining the class, the session, please try to disable your mic so that we don't cause some form of noise on the recording and we don't disrupt the free flow of the session. Yes, Mr. Aledare, Yomi will be leading us through today's session. And this is someone who truly embodies the spirit of learning and excellence in Microsoft 365, specifically talking about SharePoint Online. Here, Yomi Aledare is a cloud architect, a data scientist, a SharePoint expert with a strong passion for technology, training, and community impact. As a Microsoft certified trainer, he has extensive experience helping professionals and organizations leverage Microsoft 365 solutions for collaboration and productivity. Yomi is also passionate about continuous learning and innovation, exploring emerging fields like bioinformatics to bridge technology with real-world transformation. This is Yomi Aledare in a bit, and a lot of us must have been familiar with him. He's always been with us, always driving community events and always lending his time, energy, and knowledge to move the community forward. So we are thrilled to have you join us today, Yomi Aledare. I hope you're around. But before we go into the session, I would like to share some housekeeping rules with us all. The session will be recorded and the video will be made available for future viewing. Please mute your microphone when you're not talking, and as well, pen down your questions on the Q&A. You can also share your questions on the chat area so that we can, the speaker will be attending to them as we move on. So you can also subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'll be sharing a link for that later on, and also join our community WhatsApp channels. All right, I'm going to stop with I'm going to stop and I'm going to end the show right about now, and as well stop sharing my screen while I can you share? I think I need to grant Yomi. I don't know if you already have the necessary. You do? Okay. All right. If you do, that's fine. We can kick off with the session. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Aishat, for that introduction and great insight on what we are learning today. I expect some reactions, maybe a love emoji or a clap for her. Can we drop some, please? Thank you, Janet. Thank you, Izzy. Okay, so that means we are very much active here. So we're all welcome to another deep dive session provided by the M365 Nigerian community. We have been holding a bi-monthly SharePoint session focusing on the M365 workspace with emphasis on SharePoint. And some of us that have been faithfully joining all these sessions would have learned quite a lot regarding SharePoint. And so you'll be also broadening that knowledge today as well. So how many of you here was in the last session? That's the one that was held last month on the 25th or thereabouts. Anybody just gives a
You can
thumbs
raise your
up.
hand if you are. You can raise your hand or probably give a thumbs up emoji reaction here. I think I was there too.
Okay, so we have two persons. Okay, how about the one that I think I was second week in October, the one I took? How many of us were there? So just Josh. Okay, so some of us that have been following this closely, you see that the discussion around the various concepts are very, very practical. Okay. So I think since we have a lot of persons that are more of a beginner, I'm going to spare 10 minutes. 10 minutes to do. I'm going to use 10 minutes to do like a brief intro, okay, before going into today's discussion. So M365 is a Microsoft cloud application or cloud service that allows businesses to make use of the various services that helps to improve users' productivity. And one of the strong area is SharePoint. The core focus of SharePoint is for collaboration. It allows users to share files or to collaborate on files after it has been shared with them. It allows you to manage who has access to what. Then it allows you to create an intranet facing site for users in your organization where they can see information about the organization without having to go to the public internet. Then, beside this, SharePoint also provides you with document management and also provides a backend for Power Apps applications where you, for instance, you create a list, and within that list you have data that reside within the list, and this data serve other applications. So that's just summary of what SharePoint is all about. Okay, and today we'll focus on an interesting area of SharePoint. I'll just share my screen so that we can see that. As a problem displaying your content. Why? So just drop a thumbs up if you can see my screen. Okay, thank you. So I'll skip the introduction. We have already done that. So this is SharePoint online deep dive, and we just keep that. So this course will focus on SharePoint permission levels and inheritance. Okay, so we're going to look at this with some practical scenarios. Okay, with the goal to understand how all of that works. And this is the series number 8 in the SharePoint deep dive section, and it's focused on SharePoint permission levels. So when we talk about permission itself, what do we mean? Okay, permission itself is embodied access. Okay, like for instance, somebody comes to your home or visit where you stay, and first thing they do is to go to your kitchen, and then they open your pot And then they open your port and then, they help themselves out. Of course, it is expected that that permission would have been granted or would not have been granted, right? So that means even though you have a living, a place where you stay, guests or external users or even internal users may not have access to everything within that building, right? So that is more of like permission. So they may have access to your living room, but not the bedroom or some of the restroom or some of the maybe library or some office room or even the kitchen. Okay, so when we talk about SharePoint permission, okay, think of it as what I just painted to you. So the SharePoint is very wide, has different things, but users may not be able to have access to everything within the SharePoint. SharePoint is so strict with permission that even if you're a global admin, okay, if you don't have access to a site, okay, you can't manage that site, even though you're a global admin. Okay, you have to have been given site admin permission to that site before you are able to do anything on that site. Okay, you can imagine a global admin trying to access a site and it says you don't access denied. You're like, what? I'm a global admin. Of course you are, but there are permissions when it comes to SharePoint. Okay, so when it comes to SharePoint and permissions, it's very strict. Okay, it's very strict. What that means is that you can't just SharePoint is not something you can just enter and do whatever it is you like, go to whatever it is you like. You are able to do as much as you are permitted to do. Okay, then there are levels to what you're permitted to do, which is what we're going to look at. So the class will be for 2 hours. We have already exhausted 30 minutes or thereabout. So we'll see how we can manage our time. So our lab is for 60 minutes and Q&A for 30 minutes. But let's see what the time permits us to do. Okay. And then everyone here will learn the different levels of permission in SharePoint, the default SharePoint groups, how you can create your own custom permissions, how you can create your custom groups, how you can implement inheritance in a document library, how you can also do that for a SharePoint list. So let's start with permission levels and SharePoint groups. What are SharePoint groups? Some of us might be familiar with M365 groups, security groups. Those are groups that cut across the M365 space, like the groups you can see them in SharePoint. You can access them even in your Outlook. You can access them in your Entra ID. That's not the case with SharePoint groups. And that's why they are called SharePoint groups. SharePoint groups reside in SharePoint. They can only be visible within the SharePoint workload. They cannot be seen elsewhere. And they are designed with specific permission levels. Okay? By default, a site usually comes with 3 SharePoint groups: the visitors group, members group, and the owners group. The last group is the access denied, not a group anyway, but that's another scenario. So maybe you got the link or someone forwarded it to you. So every other user that is not a visitor, that is not in the visitors group, members group, in the owners group, automatically falls in that access denied group. Not a group anyway, but they kind of get a message telling them that the access is denied. at least they do not fall into any of these categories. So, for instance, a global admin, most likely that has not been given access by being added to any of this group will likely fall in the access denied group. Okay. Now, a SharePoint group and permission level helps you to efficiently manage access to your site. So whoever you want to give access to your site, the group and permission levels allow you to manage this. Now, the visitor group is the list group with the list permission, which has what is referred to as the read permission level. The read permission level allows someone to be able to see everything about your site. They can even download, but they can't make any change. Okay. Then you have the members group. The members group allows a user in that group to be able to manage contents, but there are still limited things that they can do. Then you have the owners group. The owners group are given what is known as the full control. Full control is more like the person who is able to do a lot, manage the entire site. Okay. Now, having said this, the access request feature is also available. So, for instance, you are a new employee to an organization, and then you got to be assigned a task, and the file is in a location that you don't have access. So SharePoint has the access request feature where you can actually request for access to a SharePoint asset. Asset could be a site, a library, or a list. Okay, so the access request is it's a very useful tool that you can use to request access to a site, which we are also going to demonstrate. Okay, then we have the permission levels. There are several permission levels in SharePoint, which we are going to see, okay, when we look at this. But we'll focus more on, I think, about 5 of them, and we'll see how we can create our own custom levels. Custom levels are needed because the default permissions that you have may not be able to do everything that you want to do in SharePoint. For instance, in this session, we're going to create a custom level where users will be able to edit, but not able to delete files in a site. And we also create another level where users will be able to read but not download content from a site or sync the content to their OneDrive. Okay. Then another concept we want to look at is inheritance. Inheritance. Okay. Some of us, if we walk on the road, some person are able to identify us because of some features. Okay, so for instance, someone who is from a particular family A will kind of have maybe the same nose, the same eyes, shape of head, height, and head shape and all of that. Why? Because of inheritance. Okay, probably they kind of inherited it from their parents, and then you have to the child. So in SharePoint, we have what is called inheritance. Having discussed about SharePoint groups, SharePoint permission levels, inheritance talks about these permission levels and groups, how do they flow to elements below the root sites? So you have your main site here, and then you have other elements like your document library, your sub-sites, and your list. So by default, the inheritance is that all permission levels here flows down to all the elements in, or sub elements. Let me not call them elements. Sub what is that? Sub assets within the SharePoint environment, SharePoint site collection. That's the default behavior, which is called inheritance. So when we talk about inheritance, what you understand, or what you simply understand, is that permission from the top flowing to other assets below. This asset could be a list, a site, or document. And even your documents, you could have folders as well. Okay, so we're going to see how we can use in SharePoint, kind of decide that, okay, for this list that I have here, it is on that list. I don't want inheritance to flow down. So I want to break it so that this particular list will have its own unique permission. Okay, so we'll see that as we go on in our lab. Okay, now your inheritance can be applied on, or rather is applied to folders, to lists, and documents. Okay, so take note of that. Now there are some limitations when it comes to inheritance. Okay, you can't re-inherit or break inheritance when the list, library, or folder has within it more than 100 items. You can't inherit or break inheritance when a folder, list, or document has within it within more than 100,000 items. This is a performance limitation. SharePoint is a web application that pulls data from an SQL database. They have observed that to ensure that the performance is in order, they have set up this limitation. So most cases, in document management, you shouldn't have 100,000 items in a folder. Okay, it's not the best. It's going to affect a lot of. This is just for inheritance. There are other areas like when you want to create views, it's going to affect that as well. Okay, so without further delay, we can jump into the lab. So I think we're still within our time. It's 4:32. So we'll take questions after the lab. If you are with me so far, I would like to see your thumbs up. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to share my entire screen now. What's happening? So I'll navigate to my SharePoint admin. So we have some labs we are going to demonstrate. So the first one is, how do we configure access requests for a site? Okay, so someone has a site and you want to allow users to be able to request access to that site. So how do we do that? Earlier I told us what access request is. So we're going to look at that. Then we're going to look at the features, the different permission levels. They will create custom permission levels. So we are creating two permission levels. Then we'll create a custom SharePoint group and assign to users. Then we'll demonstrate document inheritance. Okay. So what do we need for this? So let's have something that we're going to demonstrate. So we need a site. So we're going to have a site. And then we're going to create a document library. Let's call it digital space. Then we're going to create a list called inventory. Okay. So we're going to create a site called my space. So that will be our site name. So within the site, I believe you can see my screen. Within the site, we're going to have this document library, digital space. Let me just write it in full. Document library. So we're going to create that. Then we're going to create another asset called, it should be a list. And that's the name. Okay. So let's see how, let's see, custom level, edit. So we'll give one user edit but not delete. We'll give another user read but not download. We'll test that. And yeah. So we'll do that for both lists. Then we'll create, demonstrate inheritance for the document library and the list. Okay. So let me pick users I'm going to use for that. So I have some of these users already. Right, deep. So I'll be signing into the users and do that. So this user will be giving edit but not delete. This user will be giving read but not download. Then we use this user to demonstrate the inheritance. Okay. So the inheritance, in the sense that this user will be given access to a particular document library. Why this user will be given access to all the document library. So let's have another document library. Let's call it what should we call it now? Somebody should suggest, give me a name. Drop it in the chat. Okay, somebody says systems library. Okay. We want to avoid the name library. Okay. Let's just call it systems. Okay. Let's say projects. Okay, so let's have a list called projects. So let's just have this so that we use that to demonstrate all of this. Okay, so I like us to always plan this so that we can flow much easy. Because by the time we start jumping on the practical, we'll be jumping from one place to the other, and it's not good. So some of us are asking if how the practical is going to be. So this is how we're going to do it. Okay. Create our document library. So we're creating 2 document libraries. And then we're creating 2 lists. Okay. Then we're going to have 2 users with different permissions. Okay. So but the first thing we want to do now is to create our site called My Space. Okay. So let's do that. So I'm on my SharePoint admin. How did I get here? From the SharePoint admin. Sorry, from the M365 admin portal. I click on SharePoint. So we allow that to load. That should bring me to my SharePoint admin. Now, what we want to achieve today about permissions is not suitable for a group. Okay, what do I mean? We're going to create a site that is not connected to a Microsoft 365 group. Why is that so? If we create a site, for instance, let me just show us. If I go to my active sites, there are some sites here that we can't see from this page. Okay. So for instance, you can see Collab, Repro, Company Portal, Deep Dive. Okay. But below that, something is missing. So if I go back, you can see this is not there. This is not there. This is not there. Deeper Dive is not there. Doc Dump is not here. It's not here. Why? Because those sites were created without an M365 group. So that's what we're going to be doing. The site we're going to create is going to be without M365 group. The advantage it has is that it's not going to show here. Okay. So it means that somebody cannot just come, click on Deep Dive, and begin to go into membership and be adding owners or adding members, right? Because it's not even here. Okay, so you want to achieve that dependence, because if they are able to do that, your what you are doing is going to be fertile. The same way, if the site happen to have teams, right from their teams app, they will add a user as a member of the site. And that user will have the ability to be able to edit and do all sorts on that site because they have been added. But what we want to do is a site that is properly managed in terms of permission and access. So to actually have that working, we can't use an M365. So when I come to create a site, which is why we are creating it here. Okay, you can create a group anywhere and you're going to create it, but to achieve that, we have to do this from here. So if I come to click on create site, and this comes up, I will click on browse more sites. Okay, browse more sites. So therefore, I have a test tenant I want to follow along. Then choose a template. I will choose a team site. And it says a site for a team of people to share content when they work together. This option does not create a Microsoft 365 group. This is what we want. So the site name is going to be my space. The primary admin is going to be party. That's the user I'm using to manage this. I'll click on next. No, just everything is. Then time zone, I'll just leave it as that. I'll click on create. Okay, so site created. That was quick. So where is my site? I go to my space rather. So here it is. So I'll just click here. Okay, so here we are in the MySpace site that we just created. Okay, so I want to look at the settings for this site. So let's look at the site permission. So if I go to my settings icon here or cogwheel, I'm looking for site permission. Now, the reason why party is able to administer this site is because she is a site admin. Okay, you can see she is a site admin. If I should remove party from as a site admin from this site, add another person, she will no longer see all these options. So peradventure, you create a site or you access a site, you are not seeing everything. That's likely why. So once you click on the settings here, you should see site permissions. So let's click on it. Okay, so you can see from here, my default group, site owners, site members, site visitors. This one has no control, limited control, full control. We're going to see this as we go along. Now, once I click on that, I will now click on advanced permission settings. That's where I want to be. Advanced permission settings. Okay. So here I can see that my space members has the edit permission level. My space owners has full control. And my space visitor has read. Currently now, if I go to owners, If I click just by clicking on the group, I can see I have a user within the owners group. Okay. If I go to visitors, there is nobody. If I go to members, there's also nobody because I've not added anybody. Okay. So that's the various groups. Now, if I go back to my access page, I have what is called the access request. So this is where I can manage who has how access is given. So I have the option to allow members to share sites, which is fine. I want to keep that so that members can share the site to others. Then you have allow access request. Okay. If I uncheck this, when you access a site, let me copy that. Okay, so I need to sign in. I need to sign into my users now, so we can start seeing that. So let's start with this user, Adele. Let's take note of that. So I'll just sign in here to office.com, sign in. Put in the username, get the password. So this user is now signing. So before we make any change, okay, let's copy the site. This is the URL. And let's open it on the other user. Okay, so this is the user. I'm not seeing the user here, but where is it? This is the user. So currently it says you need permission to access this site. Request access. Okay, so they can now say I need access to complete a task. Request access. Okay, so it says waiting approval. I will let you know about any update, blah, blah, blah. So what do I do? The admin, let's just close it. I've not made any change on that place yet. So if I go back to access request, okay, so you can see currently says allow access request. So that's why the other user was able to request access. Now, who will receive all access requests on their site? The space owner. And earlier I showed us this is the only user in the owner list, party. Okay, but if I want this access request to be sent to a specific person, I can provide it here. Let's see. I need to get the user's email. Let's get that. Where is Lee? Okay. Now it shows that there are people are waiting for your approval so that they can access this site. So that is the access request that was just recently made on the site. So if I click on this now, I'll be able to see who and who had made requests. So you can see shows me the user has made request for the site and when it was requested. So I can approve or decline. So let's approve. Okay. Now, by approving, it automatically gives this person this permission. Okay. So that takes us to checking the permission that users have on a site. So if I go back to my permissions page, let me just have this open somewhere. Okay, so if I click on check permissions, check now. Okay. Excuse me. So I can see that this user has been given edit permission, which was given because the user has been added as a member, okay, to this site. So another interesting thing, why I'm doing all this is that when you have an existing site, for everything to work, you need to check all of these areas. So for instance, this user now has the edit permission. So what happens when I give the user edit but not delete? It's not going to work because the user has an edit permission, which is higher than the edit but not delete permission. But I'm going to leave this so that just for us to see it and then we'll fix it. Okay. So that demonstrates the access request settings. Okay. Then you will have the permission levels. Permission levels. Permission levels. So by default, these are the 5 permission levels that we have. There are other ones, but they are for SharePoint to work with. So you have full control, which has full control. There is design. Says can view, add, update, delete, approve, customize. You have edit. Says can add, edit, delete list, can view, add, update list, and documents. Contribute, can view, add, update, and delete list elements and documents. Then you have read, can view pages, list items, and download documents. Okay. But what we want to do edit but not delete. I want to do read but not download. So it means that we're going to create a permission level that is similar to this and also similar to this. So you don't just click here and say add permission level. It won't work the way you want because you don't know what you should click and what you should not click. So the best way is to copy what already exists. So for instance, I want to create the edit but not delete. So I'll just click on edit I will go to the bottom. I will say copy permission level. Okay, don't work on this. Copy permission level. Now I have a copy. So I'll give it a name. Edit no delete. Okay. So anything that has to do with delete, I'm going to remove it. Delete item and check it. Oh, you say it doesn't allow that. So what should I use? I think I should just use a dash. See, that would be in my permission. Yeah, edit but no delete. So edit, delete items has been removed. Delete version. So anything that has to do with delete, because I want you to be able to edit but not delete. So delete items have been unchecked. Delete versions. What else? Do we still have anything about delete? Okay, so that handles that. So this user will now be able to edit or not delete. So let's click on create. I think we should add a description so that we see it here. So I'll just copy what I have here. Just click on this again. Paste it. I'll just remove delete. Edit and add an edit list and view, add updates. So I'll remove this. Okay. Submit. Okay. So let's do the same thing for read. So we're creating permission levels. So let's call this read no download. But not download. So what should I remove here? So I'm going to remove this option here, open items. That's all I need to remove. Okay. And I'll check this. Open items. Okay, that's it. And then I'll just click on create. So now I have two additional permission levels. Okay. So now when you go to your site, this guy, can you stay here for me for now? So when you go to your site, refresh this, and you want to grant permission, I go to these show options. Okay, you will see these permission levels, so you can see them here. But what we want to do is we want to create a SharePoint group as well. Okay, that has these permission levels. Okay, so we're going to need to create a custom group. So back to this my advanced page, I have create group. This group is a SharePoint group. Okay, so what's going to be the name of the group? So the first one is so I'll just copy the idea from my other group. So you can see this name is my space members, my space owner, my space visitors. So we'll have something like that as well. My space restricted member, my space restricted visitor. Okay.
Parler's already come off the buying bench. I just wonder what
I don't know.
company will do to maintain the momentum that, as you can see, has been in his side's favour in the last 10 minutes. Not as clear cut. Union still giving a good account of themselves, but their priorities have shifted somewhat as the second.
Hello, Lawrence. Oh.
I've muted him. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Please proceed.
I'm in a good mood. I would have removed him from this meeting. That much. Better watch the highlight and not restricted, my space restricted members. Okay. Then who can view the membership of this group? Yeah, group members, group owners. Allow requests to join this group. Yes, no. So if you want to allow requests to join, which I want to allow requests for, this is members. Okay, no, I want to allow requests for the edits but not download. So this is it is correct. So yeah, auto accept. So choose the permission level. So this is what I want. Edit. Okay. Just create. Okay. So I have my space restricted members. So let's have my space restricted visitors. Another group we're going to create. So let's go back to group. Okay. So that will be my space restricted visitors. And I want to allow, okay, and so these visitors, and so they can view but not download. So I want that to be automatic. My space restricted visitors. Allow request to join. Okay, yes. Auto accept, yes. We just read. Okay. And create. Okay. So I have my groups now. So let's go back to the group page and refresh this. Okay. So these are permission levels. I think we're done with that. These are my what do you call my groups. So at the moment, this site has members. So this member, I want to edit this. Okay, so you can see I have a member here. So let's go to edit action now. Yeah, action group settings. Okay. So you can see where is that? Okay. Yeah, this is fine. This is fine. Yeah, so I want to make this visitor the default group. My space restricted visitor. So I'll click on it, go to settings and say make this group the default group for this site. Click on OK. So that whenever you are trying to share the site to any user, it automatically chooses my restricted visitor. Okay. So because we want to demonstrate inheritance, but we want the users to have to have some kind of permissions to be able to see everything. Okay. So now that we have been able to create this these permission levels and groups, let's create our document libraries and sites. Okay. And once we create it, we'll demonstrate everything. Next 30 minutes, we should be done so that we can take questions, because I expect there should be questions. So let's create our site. So I'll go to site contents, or let me just go back to my home page, and I'll go to site contents. So click on new, click on document library. So the first one we're creating is a digital space. Digital space. Blank. Name is digital space. Show navigation. Second one is systems. Let's call it systems lab. Site contents. Then let's create the lists. I think we should have something. Let's just use, because I don't want us to start creating columns. So let's just use the ones that we have here. So let's use this expense tracker and where is that? So you know, assets. Okay. Let's use this. Show this in navigation. Then let's have projects. Product supports. I think this should be closely related to our projects. Okay. So now we have our various assets. We have our digital space, systems lab, inventory, projects. So now I want to demonstrate. I've just demonstrated the, what is it called, the custom level that we added, custom permission level and the group. So let's see this at work. Edit but not delete, read but not download. Let's see all of this at work, and then we'll move on to inheritance. Okay. So this is our digital space document library. So let's just add a few documents. So that's the name of our documents. Close that, so should have it here. Okay, let's add document here as well. On that lab schedule. Okay, let's close that. So we have, let's go to our list. I hope all these things are not required. That's quite long. I think I'll just leave that. Let's work with the libraries. We have been able to add some document here. How about this? It's a long ago. Can I just add let's see if it allows me to save that. Okay, so I think it's not even required, so you can just add an item. But in the asset type. Okay. So this user already has permission. So let's see what this user is able to do. So I'll just delete all that. This user has edit permission. No, we checked that earlier in the permissions page. Where is members? Okay, the user is here. So you can see that this user can see everything. And as a member, you can see what they can do. Okay, so you see they can also access site permissions, but not the advanced, but of course, they can share. They can share the sites, which you can disable. Let's just quickly do that. Because I don't want the entire listing to be defeated. So if we have users able to share, they can go and give the person a different permission. So allow members to share. We have turned that off. So this ensures that only site owners, that is, those that have full control, can share, not members. So we have control now on what we can do. So let's see the option that this user has now. Okay. G. This user can still share. I don't think this thing is updated yet. So let's log in as Lee. Office.com. Lee. Have I logged in already as Lee? Okay, I've not. Password. So let's check. Lee has been given access to this site. So let's check. I think that should be Lee. Okay. So that's did not go. But why there? That should be some. That's funny. I don't know what happened there. We didn't get any notification. That's strange. Okay, so I don't know. So we have disabled now. We have full control over this site. Okay. Well, let's confirm. So let's see. Let's go to Lee. Okay, so it says access denied. Okay, it says access denied. Then I think we have set up a automatic access. So let's see if that works for this user. Okay, so that's enough for this user. I think it still has to be approved by okay, so let's see. Okay. So let's approve, can decline this. Okay. So you can see now it has earlier when we give Adele V or Adele V, when Adele V requests access to the site, she was given an edit permission, which we can check here. Where's my? I thought I kept that open. Okay, let's go back there. So let's check. Lee. Okay, so you can see it was given the read, no download. Okay, read, no download. Okay, which is what we want. Then this other person was given the edits. Okay, that was before we did all of those configuration. Okay, so what we have done now, we have taken control of this site. Number one is only the what is it called? The owner that can share, that can add people. Number two, when they approve, the users are automatically giving read, which is fine. Okay, that's the list. They can just be seeing everything that is there. they can't download, they can't edit as well. Okay, which is fine. So Lee has the permission now. Okay, let's refresh. So I think I need to remove the URL. Let's remove that. Okay, so this is Lee. He now has access to everything because he can read. Okay, so okay, no, let's go to inventory. Okay, so you can see you can't really edit anything. But the same thing if you go to the documents. So this is Lee. Okay, this is Lee.
Great insights so far. Thank you very much, Yomi. I think we have some questions which are actually waiting for us in the Q&A section right now. I'm going to start from the first. Somebody asked how we can participate and document the labs we will do. So this is a question from Sunday Awelewa, who's asking how can we participate? And let me just say, okay, if you came from the Nigerian 365 community WhatsApp group, we are creating lab test accounts for new members who have joined. And I don't know if you're from there, but we have created test accounts, test tenants that you can use to participate and do some of the labs that we are doing on the deep dive. And somebody asked if you are practicing. Yes, if you have an account, you could be practicing and then following through with the demo as we are going on. And then there's a question for the speaker. It says, what is the difference between document library and list? Another asked if mentioned that when we created the site and clicked on settings, Party was already there. How did that happen? So would you like to take the questions one by one, or I'll just list them out there, because there's also another question somebody asked in the chat asking about the list, whether they are departments or so. So I think we should start from there, from what a list is, and then create and then try to differentiate between the document library and a list. Let's start from there, please.
Okay, sure. But let me take the question about the party. So the user party is a global admin, and when we created the site, okay, when we created the site, it asks us to supply an owner. So when you are creating a site, it will ask you to provide an owner. So you can see primary admin. So we entered this user. So that's how party was automatically added. Okay. So I believe that answered the question how party was automatically added to the site. Okay. Then the question about document library and list. Okay. A document library is an asset in SharePoint that allows you to manage documents, meaning your files. Okay, your files. These files could be PDF, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, installation file. You could also be folders. Okay, folders. Okay. Why a list is an app in SharePoint that is used to store items. You can see a list as a table, okay? A table that holds items or records. A list serves as a backend. For instance, if you create a form, you can have the result of that form stored in a list. This list that we have created, we can create a form from this list so that instead of typing this in like from here, you have like a form and you input everything, you save, and it will appear in this list. Okay, so your list is more like an app where you can store items, you can store records. Okay, and it can even take in files. Okay, like maybe you want to create a list where people can submit business proposal. They want to attach information about the proposal. So the list can also take in, records and then files as well. Okay, so that's the difference between a list and a document, but they are basically the same objects. Okay, they're basically the same no objects, assets. They are basically similar SharePoint assets in terms of permissions and everything also flow along. Okay, and when you are creating an item in a list, okay, usually based on what I already defined. Okay, so like you see, I use the what is it called? I use the default list or sample templates rather, because of time. I was trying to save time. Ordinarily, if I created a blank list, I would need to supply the columns. Okay, columns. For instance, we can create a list to store contacts. Okay, whereby you have first name, last name, phone number, relationship. You can create a list to do that. And somebody can now begin to impute the records one after the other. I hope I've not been able to confuse you, but I've been able to convince you about the difference between a list and a document library. And is there another question?
Yes. Apart from that, okay, I think we should be done with some of the questions that are available here, because somebody asked if we are past. I think I treated that already. And if you have, let me just mention, if you have any questions or any thoughts from what we have been doing so far, please drop them in the chats. We'll take them on during the Q&A session segments.
Yes,
So
please
we can continue.
drop your question so that we will address it in the Q&A, because we are gradually closing up with what we are doing. So we have been able to create our custom levels and groups, and we have been able to create our asset. We have invited this user. This user already has edit permission, not delete, which we are going to fix. We're going to add this user. This already automatically has this by request access. Then use our Pradeep, which we're going to give use to demonstrate inheritance. Okay, which we're going to use to demonstrate inheritance. So, but before we invite this user, we need to set up the inheritance. Currently, you see that this Lee G was able to access everything. Okay, was able to access everything, which we don't want. We want this system lab and project to be for specific persons. So it means that we are going to have to break inheritance so that systems lab and project does not inherit the permission from the parents. How do we do that? This guy is Lee. He's just a read guy, so he can't do anything. So we go back to our owner, okay, our site owner. So let's go back to our permissions page. Okay, so we have these are permissions. So these things, sorry, not permissions, these are groups. So these groups will always flow down to every asset that you create. But we don't want that for some assets, which is the systems lab and inventory. So what do? We go to the systems lab, okay, go to settings, go to library settings, okay, not site permissions now, library settings. And then we go to more library settings. Then we're going to look for permissions for this document library. Here we have it, permissions for this document library. So I'll click on it. And then what do I see? I see all the groups. I see all the groups. And I can't edit it at this point because it's inheriting from the parents. In this case, my space. This library inherits permission from its parents, my space. So this is inheritance. And inheritance can be broken. So let's break inheritance for this what did we call this? Systems lab library. Like, so this is how you do that. Stop inheriting permissions. It will tell you that you're about to create unique permissions for this document library. I will say okay. So I'll allow that to change. So now it says this library has unique permissions. That means if I go back, if I go back to this place now and probably I don't want to delete anything. Probably maybe delete one of these. It's not going to flow down. Okay, let's remove this guy. Let's delete this guy. Where's my delete? Let's open it. It's my default. Will you allow me to delete? Let's go back. It doesn't allow, it won't allow me to delete it. Yeah. Well, I should be able to remove this then. Where's that? Yeah. Not on the right page. Okay. Delete is somewhere. I know it's somewhere. Okay. Let's go back to what we are doing. So I'm just going to demonstrate this quickly. Where is that? Okay. So let's create a group. Let's call this test 1, 2, 3. Let me not create it yet because this is going to flow to my projects. I don't want that. So let me break inheritance for project as well. So for my project, I will go to settings as well, list settings, and I'll look for permissions for this list. And then I'll stop inheritance as well. Okay. Now we can create this group. So let's give it the permission level of design. Okay. So we have our list. So let's go back. Let's refresh. So you can say I have test 1, 2, 3. This is on the main site. Now let's go to the digital space. Digital space, library settings, more library settings, permissions for this document library. Okay, so you can see test 1, 2, 3. We have it in the digital space library. Okay. But let's go to projects and let's refresh. And let's refresh for systems lab as well. So you can see, but in projects, we don't have test 1, 2, 3. In systems lab, we don't have test 1, 2, 3. The simple reason is because we have said we want to break inheritance. Okay. So the digital space library just demonstrated how inheritance flows down. Okay. But here we have broken that so it doesn't flow down. Now, by doing this now, we are saying now that this document library can now have its own unique permissions. This all flowed down from the parent sites. So already, even though this is broken, attendees still has access to this site. Okay, where is it? Let's refresh. This attendees. You can still see. You can still see systems lab. Okay, because what came down with it has not, though we have broken it, but what came down with it is still here. So what happens when we start removing all of this? Okay, so let's remove this. So we no longer have members. Okay, so what happens to this user that is a member? Let's refresh. So what do you have? Systems lab is gone. Okay, systems lab is gone. We'll do the same thing for projects. Go to projects and remove. Okay, and what happens when we go to projects for this same user? Gone. Okay, so you can see no more project and systems lab. However, this user still has access to systems lab and projects because this guy is still here. Okay, so let's remove it as well. Okay, so let's check for Lee. Let's see now. Oh, no longer have access to the site. What did he do? Oh, let's go back. to the main site. I think I was in one of the sites. Okay. Okay, so you can see Systems Lab projects, they are all gone. Okay, because when you break inheritance, you can now manage permissions for those respective assets. Okay, when you break inheritance, it allows to manage permission for those respective assets. Okay, so from here now, I can now say, okay, what is that? Adele has edit for this digital space. Now I want to give Adele permission on the other one, but not to delete, but they can edit. They can edit and delete on this, which we're going to demonstrate. We're going to delete this, but on the other side, we're going to give him edit and not delete. So what do we do? Okay, so we just add the what is it called? No, let's not add it. Let's grant permissions instead. So let's do Adele. Then let's go to edit, no delete. Okay. Then click on share. Share everything in this folder, even with, yeah. Send, that's okay. Okay. So now let's go back and refresh. We have our Systems Lab. But the permission this user has on this lab is not the same thing as he has here. Okay. He can delete here. Okay, so you can see delete. But here, there is no delete, but you can download. But there is no delete. Okay. Then this user Lee is able to read everything, but we want the user to be able to edit, okay, on that digital space. Okay, now if you see, it doesn't have there's nothing like download or even edit. So you can see, just read. But we want the user to be able to do something on the other library. Okay, so let's go to projects and let's give Lee permission. Remember Lee has read, but we want to give Lee permission not just to read. Lee already has this. Okay, let's give Lee edit permission. Okay, so this is permission level, permission group, and inheritance. Okay, so these groups always remain at the site level. Okay, and that's why I don't want us to add a user here. If we add a user here, it's going to apply at the site level. Okay, so let's see Lee. Lee now, we have given him access to projects, so we should see project here now. Okay, and we give him edits. So let's see, so you can see edits. Okay, so you can start making changes. Okay, so you can see he has made change to this this list. Then lastly, let's allow this user to see the project but not be able to download it. So we'll go back these are I think I need to go back to my projects. Okay, so I will grant there read but not download. I think I can give read but not delete as well. Okay, so if I go back and refresh, I have projects. But unlike before, they can edit. Now they can just read. They can't really do anything. Okay. So I think we have, or I have been able to demonstrate that inheritance, SharePoint group, custom permission, and access requests. So we just concluded the lab. So let's take questions to handle whatever it is that is not clear.
That was an amazing session. Thank you very much, Yomi. Yes. Now we can take
let me clap for myself. I'm not seeing anybody clap for me. Let me clap for myself.
Yes. Let's give him a round of applause. Even if you can give more than a round of applause, please do so. He has really done well.
Drop emoji. If not, I will do time travel now. We'll go back to 1 hour ago.
Oh my. I believe a lot of us want to stay around because I want to believe that we've all learned something. So we just take a few minutes to take questions and reflections. You can drop any questions or even thoughts or any concerns that you have in the chat or in the Q&A segment. So if you have been listening and then something good stood out for you, please and you would like clarity on a particular concept, please raise your hand or even drop that question in the chat. I have one that is waiting for us here from Sunday. It says, thank you so much for the answers. You said we can follow up with the test account created. Meanwhile, users like Pradeep, Lee G, Adel V have unique emails. How do we achieve that? Okay, I think this participant joined from the beginners class, right? I want to believe so. And you, first of all, these users, I'll allow Yomi to actually clarify on this. These users are sandbox users that were created with the tenants, the test tenant, right? And these particular emails are just default emails, but we can have naming conventions when you talk about your users. But these particular users are already existing in the tenant. That's why they look like this. That's why when it types the name, the user just shows up in there. They are not users that just spring up from somewhere. They are users existing in the tenant. So for your own test accounts, why you have not been able to do that? Probably because you have not created your own users, or you don't even have, probably don't have the admin permissions to do such things. So that's why I'm actually treating this question, because I want to believe that it came from the beginners class. So Yomi, please, over to you. Please help us clarify on this.
Yes, so if you have a test tenant, then you create additional users, give it any name you want, and then you'll be able to give them these various permissions. Now, if you don't have a test tenant and you are giving access to one, then you also have some users that you can use as well. All you need to just reset their password, and you are able, as long as a user is not a global admin, you can reset the user's password, but do not reset somebody else's accounts. Okay, maybe for instance, you have a testing that is shared by more than one person, maybe Sunday and Andrew, and you're going to reset Andrews. So in most cases, it's best to just create your own test user. You really do not need a license to demonstrate SharePoint. It's when you talk about OneDrive, maybe email notification, that's when you talk about license. you can say I just copy the user, paste, direct, I just copy the link, the URL link. I didn't have to go to email and be, copy and opening email. So if you have access to a tenant, just create like 3 users or 2 users, okay? And then reset their username and password, keep it somewhere, create your site, and copy the URL based on a new incognito on Chrome, another incognito on maybe in private on Edge, and just use that to be testing the features. Okay. So I believe that will help answer that question. Okay. That's good.
Yes, I believe so. Thank you very much. If there are no further questions, I believe we can wrap up from here because our time is fast spent already. And before we wrap up, I would like to share a few quick community updates. And then if Yomi is done, I would like to share my slide where I will be sharing the community links.
Okay, so I just stopped sharing. You can go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. I will go ahead and share the slides that contain the community links right now. All right. Yes. I hope my screen is visible.
Yes.
We have my screen visible. Okay, thank you very much, Yomi. So if you're not yet a part of the Nigeria M365 community, please follow us on the LinkedIn and join us in our WhatsApp community groups. I'll be sharing the links to these channels on the chat soon. And we'll also be sharing today's session recording. And you can also just find it on our YouTube channel. So reach us on our YouTube channel, like, and subscribe to our channel, and as well stay tuned on LinkedIn and on WhatsApp community channels for our next deep dive session coming up later this month. That's in 2 weeks' time. And also, I want to say thank you all once again for joining us today, for being such an engaging audience, for all your questions. And I want to say a special thank you to our incredible speaker, Yomi, for sharing his time, as always, for sharing his knowledge and expertise with us. On behalf of the Nigeria M365 community, we appreciate your continued support and commitment to learning. You have your hand raised, Yomi. Thank you very much. So I will be sharing.
Yeah, so you can reach me on LinkedIn if you need
yes, please,
to have other question.
Oh, okay, yeah, great. I would I think I would need that link. I will need to share your LinkedIn profile link as well. Please help us drop it in the chat so everyone can connect with our amazing speaker. I'll also be sharing the community links for YouTube for WhatsApp. You can join our WhatsApp group if you're not already there. And for LinkedIn, just search for Nigeria M365 community. You will see our link from there. And I will stop sharing now and share those links. Let me just get those links. And I'm dropping them in the chats while we wrap up. This is the WhatsApp community. If you are not part of it, you can join us. I'll drop the YouTube link. You can subscribe to our channel. This recording to this session will be will be available on our YouTube channel, and all the previous and future sessions will always be available on the YouTube channel. And on these notes, I want to say a big thank you for everyone. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep empowering others through technology. Thank you very much for joining once again, and have a great weekend, everyone. Bye. Till we meet again. Bye.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.